Hello and welcome to Listen Bro. My name is Ethan and I'm here with my brother and co-host,
Joe.
and we're going to tell stories. Joe doesn't know what story I'm telling him, and I have no idea what he's got prepared for me. So follow along with us. Hopefully we get some good reactions, but who knows. And I'm going to go first this time. So I have a little bit of trivia for you. And by the way, no pressure. I didn't know some of this stuff until within the last couple days. So, trivia question.
Oh boy.
Do you have any guesses as to how many U.S. presidents are in different sports Hall of Fame?
I didn't think that there would be any.
Yeah, so it's kind of an interesting one. I will give you, now second part, I will give you a name of a president and then guess
What sport?
which sport. Yeah.
Boy.
Up first, President Donald Trump.
I'm going to be 100% honest. I had no clue he played any sports.
Well, that's a funny thing. He is known kind of for golf
Okay.
because he owns a bunch of golf resorts and plays quite a bit, but he's actually in the WWE Hall of Fame
Oh my goodness.
because he did a few appearances back in like 2007 to 2009. His biggest was the Battle of the Billionaires. Have you heard of that?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so you know that
I
how that
cannot
story
remember
goes?
who it was that he was fighting, but it was funny to watch.
Yeah, so it was him and Vince McMahon who owned,
That's right.
at the time, he owned WWE and ran it, and they both picked a fighter to represent them.
Mm-hmm.
And the loser, you know what the punishment was for the loser? The loser had to have their head shaved.
Oh, yep. Yep, I remember that now.
Donald Trump, his fighter won, so he shaved Vince McMahon's head in the ring after the match. And for that, and a few, that wasn't the only thing he did with WWE, but he is in the WWE Hall of Fame under some like celebrity appearance category or something. All right, moving on from him, the second president, George H.W. Bush. Now, this is the older of the two Bushes. Any idea what sport?
Baseball.
No, not a bad guess. Golf.
Okay.
He's in the World Golf Hall of Fame.
Wow.
Yeah. The third and last is Abraham Lincoln.
He in like the War Hall of Fame.
Nope. He is in the National Wrestling Hall of Fame.
Wrestling.
Yep. And that's what we're going to talk about. So, three presidents, two of which wrestling related, one real wrestling, one not so much.
Mm-hmm.
All right. A little bit of background on Abraham Lincoln. He is one of the more popular presidents, but he was born February 12th, 1809 in Kentucky. Humble upbringing. A lot of people know of Abraham Lincoln growing up in a log cabin. When he was 7 years old, his father moved the family to Indiana, where they were farming, and he helped his father clear fields and tend to crops. So, again, very humble upbringing, working on a farm with his father. His education, he had very little.
Yeah.
According to Abraham Lincoln, the way he described it is he said he went to school by littles, meaning a little now, a little then.
That's kind of funny.
And combined, I think there were like 7 years or something like that that he went to school, but it would be like a month at a time. So the total amount that he spent in school was no more than a single year, just spread out over 7 years.
Wow.
Which means the education he got basically came from his own motivation to read and learn.
Yeah.
When he was 21, his father again moved the family, and he moved with them to Illinois. And he wasn't thrilled with the farm life. He wanted to move on from that. He actually took on a few different jobs, one of which was working on a boat. Describe it as a flatboatman. So just a crew member on like a shipping boat. And they floated down the Mississippi River all the way to New Orleans. That was his first time visiting a big city. He also worked as a storekeeper, a postmaster, and a surveyor, and then ended up volunteering to join the Illinois militia during what was known as the Black Hawk Wars, and he was elected captain of his company, but he actually didn't see any combat.
Black Hawk Wars. I've never heard of that one.
Yeah, the Black Hawk, Native American, a lot of that was happening
Okay.
at the time. Illinois would have been considered the American West at that time. So they were still...
I guess I always assumed he came like after all the Native American stuff was settled.
Nope, there was
Okay.
basically all the way through the 1800s.
Wow.
They were fighting different Native American tribes, trying to push them out of land, trying to push them into designated reservations. But like I said, Illinois, though, where he was considered the American West in the early 1800s. So as the country would be expanding further west, they keep fighting Native American tribes to push them further and further. Anyways, he saw no combat during that time. He said at one point the bloody battles that he encountered were with mosquitoes.
That's kind of funny.
So he's not a combat hero. You know, he did a little bit of time in the militia, but that was it. And then following that, he started studying law. He didn't go to law school. He was studying, borrowing law books from different lawyers, and then kind of apprenticed under a lawyer until he could pass the exam to become a licensed attorney in 1836. And then after that is when he ends up getting into a little bit of politics before being elected president.
Okay.
But let's get to his wrestling. 1830, not long after he moved to New Salem, Illinois, he had a reputation as a good wrestler. Now, one thing about Abraham Lincoln is he was tall, 6'4".
Yeah.
And that's something that has kind of changed with time. People have gotten taller. The average height has gotten taller. So back then, standing at 6'4" was very tall.
Yeah.
Which in any kind of physical combat sport, having a longer reach would make you better.
Yeah.
So he's there in New Salem, Illinois, and there's a little gang called the Clary's Grove Boys. They're described as rugged young men, and they spent their days drinking, fighting, pranking people, and just all around being rowdy. And among them, their kind of champion fighter was a guy named Jack Armstrong. And he was known as the town bully.
Okay.
This group, the Clary Grove Boys, and they start seeing Lincoln like he's a little odd. He doesn't drink, and he likes to read. You know, this is small town Illinois. That just makes him odd, especially to these boys, who I assume are uneducated and just troublemakers. So they end up, there's a little conflicting stories on exactly how this got set up, but there ends up being a fight, a wrestling match between Abraham Lincoln and Jack Armstrong.
Okay.
And Lincoln wins. The town bully challenges him to a fight because he's a weird nerd, basically.
Yeah. What chance does he have? All he does is read.
Right. And he wins. Now, kind of what I understood reading different things about this was like the Clary Grove Boys, it was kind of commonplace that you'd have a new guy in town and they'd challenge him.
Yeah.
And this Jack Armstrong, like, never lost. So Lincoln beat him, and he earned the respect of those guys, and they left him alone after that. And Abraham Lincoln and Jack Armstrong actually became really good friends.
Okay.
They would have Lincoln over to their house quite often. When Jack Armstrong had a kid, Lincoln would rock the kid to sleep. And then, right before we started recording, one of the things I was looking at that kind of got me started down a new little rabbit hole of this story was, so that kid that Abraham Lincoln would rock to sleep, he grows up, and in 1857, the son's name was William, also went by Duff Armstrong. So Duff Armstrong. Him and a couple other guys, they were drinking. Duff ended up laying down on a bench to sleep off, his whiskey. And after a little while, this local farmer, a guy named James Metzger, rode into the area, saw Duff Armstrong sleeping on the bench.
Mm-hmm.
This Metzger was also drunk, and he decided to grab the guy, spit in his face, drag him off the bench, and just started fighting him.
Oh my.
Yeah. So they eventually stopped fighting and decided to start drinking again. They ended their fight and said, let's drink. Eventually, this Metzger guy leaves from where they fought and leaves from where they're drinking, and he goes away on his horse and falls off of his horse several times in the process because he's so drunk.
Mm-hmm.
But 2 days later, Metzger had died, and he had 2 fractures to his skull, and doctors said there's no way these came from falling off the horse. This had to have been from the fight that he was in.
My goodness.
So now this Duff Armstrong is accused of murdering James Metzger. Now, Duff Armstrong is the boy that Abraham Lincoln would rock to sleep as an infant. So Jack Armstrong, the father, he was pretty old and dying at this point. And while his son was waiting for his trial, Jack Armstrong had a deathbed wish that Abraham Lincoln would represent his son in court and defend him. And the story is kind of like one of those courthouse trial scenes that you would see in a movie.
Okay.
So the prosecution brings their star witness that says, yep, I watched this whole thing happen. I watched Duff Armstrong fight Metzger, and now Metzger's dead.
Mm-hmm.
So prosecution's feeling good. Star witness just claims to have seen everything. They're going to put this guy in jail forever. Lincoln gets up to start cross-examining him, and he asks him, did you have a candle? No, I didn't. Wasn't carrying a lit candle around. Then how could you see what was going on? Because it was nighttime. And the witness says, well, I watched it all under the light of the moon. Had plenty of moonlight out that night. I could see just fine.
Okay.
Abraham Lincoln breaks out an almanac.
Oh my.
And he looks up the phases of the moon and looks at the night of August 29th, 1857, when this occurred. And the almanac was inspected by the judge, both attorneys, all of which confirmed the information in the book as being, accurate. That he wasn't making it up. And instead of the moon being directly overhead, shining light on everything, as the witness said, the moon was, just at the horizon. So definitely wouldn't have been lighting up everything.
Yeah.
And with that was mic drop moment, and Duff Armstrong was cleared of all charges.
Wow.
So this was Abraham Lincoln's,
Perry Mason moment.
Abraham Lincoln's former wrestling challenger turned best friend, his son, that Abraham Lincoln goes on to defend in court, and it's straight out of a movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
but
Perry Mason.
Right.
Type.
Yeah, that's exactly what it seems like.
I think the former, wrestling person turned best friend, that's kind of like Rocky.
Right. Yeah, Rocky and Apollo Creed.
Yep.
So a little more on the wrestling. I wanted to focus more on the wrestling, but came across some of that other stuff. There are stories, and a lot of this is kind of lore of Abraham Lincoln. It has probably been exaggerated over and over and over again. But Abraham Lincoln would scrap with other boys when he was a kid. They'd wrestle, which is where he gained his skills. And then, of course, as he grew up, he became taller than all those friends, so he continued winning wrestling matches. But there's reportedly Abraham Lincoln has 300 victories over 12 years. And he only had one defeat. And it came while he was in the militia during that Black Hawk War. Basically, there's this story of Lincoln as this great wrestler and 300 fights, only lost once over 12 years. But there's really not any evidence of it. And given the personality of Lincoln is like the quiet nerd, didn't drink, liked to read, like I can't see him picking fights. He was probably the kind of guy that would stand up if confronted and if challenged, but I just can't see him picking fights to the point that he would be in 300 fights in 12 years.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I mean, that's like 25, 30 fights a year. That's every 2 weeks. I just don't know that that's accurate. And like I said, that is kind of recognized now as lore, kind of the legend of the wrestling Lincoln. But the story of him wrestling with Jack Armstrong is considered to be true.
Okay.
And like he was working as a storekeeper at the time, and the owner of the store kind of backed him, like sponsored Lincoln in the fight, I guess. But because of the reputation of Jack Armstrong, that fight drew a crowd. Like everybody came out to watch.
Yeah.
And because of that, everybody in the town then knew who this new guy, Abraham Lincoln, they knew who he was because he beat the town bully. So there you have it. Abraham Lincoln in the World Wrestling Hall of Fame.
That's crazy.
Because of his fight with Jack Armstrong.
I never would have expected him to be a wrestler.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of an interesting side story of his. But considering his height, kind of makes sense.
Yep. I mean, everybody wants to see the biggest guy and go challenge them.
Right. And with his humble upbringings on the farm, it's not like he was going to have the means to own a baseball and a glove and all that. So but what can you do?
With being on the farm, he would have some strength to him.
Right. But what sports can you engage in without any equipment?
Yeah.
Fighting.
Yep.
So there you go. That's my story.
All right. I will get heading into mine then. Mine kind of starts with a question too, actually.
Boy.
What do you picture whenever you think of Antarctica?
Cold, ice.
Yep. Just
white.
Everything's just ice.
Yeah.
Did you know that there are over 400 lakes underneath the ice in Antarctica?
Really?
Yeah. They have not seen the light of day in what scientists are saying is millions of years. The most popular one and also biggest one is about the size of Lake Ontario, and it is called Lake Vostok. It's about 2 miles below the surface. Just ice for 2 miles.
The lake is 2 miles under.
Yeah, 2 miles underneath ice. The only reason that it's not frozen is, there's 2 technical reasons why these lakes can form. One, they're deep enough down in the earth that it's just warmer down there. And then 2 is the pressure of the ice makes a very high pressure area, and water doesn't freeze under high pressure. So it took scientists years and years of debating and studying of what would be the best way to try and explore this.
Mm-hmm.
Because for one, if they tap into one that has the high pressure that's keeping it frozen, you put a hole in, well,
Right.
now you're getting rid of the pressure.
Right.
But also, it has not seen the light of day in how long?
Mm-hmm.
Who knows what type of bacterias and microbes can be living down there.
Right.
So they did end up figuring out a way. I don't know how they did it exactly, but they were able to tap down into it and take a few small samples to study.
Mm-hmm.
But like they were exploring them using satellites and putting probes down in the ground like almost a mile deep to try and just like kind of scan it all and get like a 3D image of it.
Yeah.
But what their hopes are is that if they can find any form of life, essentially, even if it is just small microbes living down there, then that means possibly there could be life on one of Jupiter's moons. Because Jupiter has ice moons.
Right.
So if there can be lakes underneath ice in Antarctica, who's to say there's not lakes underneath the ice in Jupiter, like on the moons there?
Right. Yeah, and if they can find something that can survive in that.
Yep.
Do you know when this was that they were taking samples?
They are still currently doing that.
Okay.
It's an ongoing study. They're actually discovering more and more lakes. And they even discovered recently that there are like rivers and streams that connect lakes to each other. And it's actually flowing water. This one scientist, or I guess she's more of she would be a scientist, I'm assuming. Her name's Sally Wilson. She's a doctoral student in the Institute of Climate and Atmospheric Science at the University of Leeds. She was stating that there is evidence that these lakes will have a filling and a draining cycle, but they don't like there's evidence of it, but they haven't been able to prove it or confirm it yet. But that would explain a lot with these streams and rivers that connect to them.
Right.
Because how would there be flowing water if there's not a water source?
Right. Yeah, the lakes would have to be changing for water to be moving. Interesting.
And it is complete darkness down there because, I mean, picture 2 miles of ice.
Right.
So it's basically a giant time capsule of the Earth. And they can study a lot based off of how the water was back then even. Like, what's the differences in it compared to today in minerals and stuff like that they're in it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's very interesting. It's still an ongoing study, like I said. So I'd be interested in following up on that one and seeing what they can kind of find out with it as they do more studies.
Right. Do you know how they discovered them? Because I know they use like ground penetrating radar or LiDAR flying over jungles can scan the dirt, but I just don't know if there's technology like that that can penetrate through 2 miles of ice or if there was some other way that they...
I'm not sure how they discovered it fully.
Yeah.
All that I have here is that they use the ice penetrating radar, satellite data, and special drills.
Okay, ice penetrating radar.
Yeah.
Okay.
I guess that would be the
then.
discovery portion then.
Yeah.
But yeah, they drilled down like about a mile and put the ice penetrating radar down in.
Okay.
And just took that like 3D scan just to see if there was anything worth it or if it was just solid ice. But that explains, well, I guess it doesn't explain, but it kind of is funny because of the theorists that are all about the Middle Earth or that the Antarctica is like a wall around the flat Earth.
Right.
So for this, there technically could be life that we have no idea about miles below the ice.
Yeah.
Even if it isn't anything big like King Kong coming out of it or anything, but
Yeah, and I mean, just the ocean being as big as it is, I always wonder how much stuff is,
oh my.
especially at like the super deep, high, that would be under extreme pressure.
Yeah.
Stuff that's living miles underwater. But you get down there toward Antarctica and like the ice shelves over the ocean reach out so far. I don't know enough about ocean exploration to know how much of that we've actually explored, but
believe that we've only discovered like 9% of the ocean.
that wouldn't surprise me at all.
Same with me.
Yeah.
Well, I was watching this documentary the one night about like why ocean creatures get so much creepier and weirder the deeper you go.
Yeah.
Do you ever see the pictures of I can't remember the exact name of it, but it's a type of squid, but its tentacles are really, really long. Like they can be like 18 meters long, I think it was.
Oh, wow.
And they're really skinny. So it's
Big
basically
fin squid.
just. What was that?
Big fin squid.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just Googled it. Super deep ocean squid. Whoa.
They're creepy looking.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Imagine going down and seeing one of those for the first time. You'd think it was an alien.
Yeah, they're so thin,
Yep.
but so long. That is super weird.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
so much that they haven't discovered yet. Almost every time they send a unmanned, like basically an underwater drone down into the really far depths of the ocean, they're almost always finding new species down there. Like they found a octopus or no, a jellyfish, sorry. They found a jellyfish that was like the size of a nickel that's living down there. No clue. At least in my mind, I'm like, what purpose does that tiny jellyfish living that far down in the ocean serve?
Right.
Like, why is it even there?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. And then, like, when you go that deep, too, there's, like, all those glowing fish. And
Yeah.
like,
Yep.
imagine if you were able to go that deep and you're just in pitch darkness, but you start seeing glowing stuff moving around.
Oh, my goodness.
That'd be
that
so
would
creepy.
scare me so bad.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like almost if you're out in, like, the woods or something and you shine a light and you just see the glowing eyes staring back at you.
Right.
But that on a much more terrifying scale.
Yeah, and, like, underwater just creeps me out. Just the idea of, I mean, people that swim or get stuck, boat flips over, they're floating out in the ocean.
Yep.
It's like the bottom of the ocean is like 7,000 feet below them.
Yeah, I mean, you
Just
see
that
sky
thought.
views of people, and it's just deep blue.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just a creepy thought that, you you have to stay up here. There's 7,000 feet of water.
Yep. I always thought it'd be cool to get like a diving license, like scuba diving. But the only reason that I'd want to do it is like to explore reefs and stuff like that, where you can pretty much still see the land from it.
Yeah. Yeah, you'd be like 20 feet deep
Yeah.
or something. Yeah, that would be cool. I think that'd be fun to do.
Because there you see all those really colorful reef fish, but
yeah,
I would never be able to go that far.
no.
There's
just to be like open ocean diving. No.
There's this phobia. I cannot remember what it's called. It's basically images, and they kind of freak me out too a little bit, but of logs from like logging explorations and stuff that
Mm-hmm.
they'll chuck in the water and let float downstream and then gather them later.
Right.
Well, some logs will become partially saturated and like start to sink.
Yeah.
So one end goes straight down and the other end's facing up.
Mm-hmm.
And there's images of them where you can kind of see down, but you cannot see the end of the log. And it's just murky water. And you have no clue how deep it is.
Yeah.
That freaks me
Right.
out.
Yeah, the murky water would be so much worse.
Oh, yeah.
Because you think like gators or
Yep.
any of that stuff that likes to hide out in murky water.
Did you ever see the deepest scuba diving training center?
No.
It's terrifying. It's full of like pipes and stuff underwater. It's really weird looking.
Yeah. Have you seen the people that do like cave diving underwater?
Oh, they're insane.
I don't know. Oh, man. I could never.
Well, did you ever hear of the rescue mission that was attempted? This one guy went down with his friend, and they both were exploring separate sections of the cave, and it was time for them to come up. He came up, but his friend never did. And a little while later, he promised to his friend's family that he would try and go down and at least retrieve his body.
Mm-hmm.
Now, like I said, going separate sections of the cave, all he knows is that his friend is stuck down there. He has no clue of how it's actually set up or anything.
Yeah.
So he goes down, and it's like hundreds and hundreds of meters down.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously he has a rope that he can go and attach to his friend's body to be able to pull him up. They have, I believe, 2 checkpoints stationed midway of people that are basically just sitting there and reporting what they see because it's too deep for him to give accounts for his own.
Wow.
And they're waiting and waiting and waiting, and they cannot find him. Like, he's not coming up with his friend or anything. Eventually, one of them goes down, and they find he found his friend. He attached him to the rope, but something happened, and while he was attaching his friend to a rope, his rope got tangled on the exact same thing that his friend's rope got tangled on. So he was down there with his dead friend's body and drowned to death the exact same way that he did while trying to rescue him. That is just, that's
terrifying. Okay. I looked up deepest scuba dive.
Mm-hmm.
The record is held by an Egyptian diver who reached a depth of 1,090 feet in the Red Sea in 2014, which the Red Sea is very deep, like surprisingly deep. But it says the descent only took about 15 minutes, but to come back up, because you have to manage the decompression, took almost 14 hours for him to come back up to the surface.
Oh my goodness.
But 1,000 feet down.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Another random fact about Antarctica, I don't know if you know this or not. Average elevation of Antarctica is 8,200 feet above sea level.
Wow, that's a lot higher than I would have thought.
It is the highest average elevation of all the continents. But yeah, the whole center of it is just there's massive ice sheets and stuff, so it's...
I just sent you over a picture of the deepest diving pools.
What?
It's giant swimming pool, and then there's just a cylinder, like a hollow cylinder that just goes straight down. And there's pipes and all kinds of stuff. It's creepy.
How deep does it go? Let's see. I looked it up now. 130 feet.
Yeah. But like just the thought of the man-made just pipes all over the walls and...
Right. Yeah, it's a creepy...
It's just a straight down cylinder. I wouldn't be able to do that.
No, no way.
But that is all I had for today.
All right. Thanks, everybody who listened. If you enjoyed this storytelling, check out our last episode. This is only our second one, but our last episode had some other good stories, and check back soon for more.
Mm-hmm.
Also, give the podcast a review or a follow on whatever platform you're on. You can leave a comment on some of them as well. Anything like that helps the algorithms favor us a little bit more.
Oh, yes. Yep. At this small of a stage, anything like that helps.
Yeah. So anything's appreciated, but thanks for listening. We'll catch you next time.